Hello everyone and welcome to Running with Georgia. My name, as you could probably guess, is Georgia, and this is a new channel I've created just to document my running journey. I've recently started running, and I decided it would be a good idea to do a 5k a day for 31 days challenge, which I completed last week. So in this video I'm going to talk through what happened over those 31 days and the improvements I saw at the end of it, and then also talk about what I want to do going forward with this channel. So if at any point of this video you like what you see or you're interested, please feel free to give me a thumbs up, comment and subscribe. That would really help and mean a lot to me. So without further ado, let's get started. First of all, before I get into the actual challenge that I did, I want to talk about why I started running and my journey going up to starting this challenge. So I didn't really run much at all growing up. I always find it, really hard and I get really out of breath and everything. Turned out later that I actually had asthma, which was the cause of that, which makes a bit more sense. I moved to where I'm living now in about October of last year, and around that time I decided I wanted to get back into, fitness and a healthier lifestyle because I had started a new job that was about, an hour commute away. So until I moved up to where I am now, I didn't really find the time to be going to the gym or anything like that. So I wanted to get back into it. So I decided to start running. Really enjoyed it, liked it a lot. But then I ended up kind of massively injuring my knee because I just increased my mileage too quickly because I didn't really know about the proper way to, do your running training when you're first starting. So I ended up having to go around with a crutch for a few weeks, and then decided to get back into it in a bit more of a safer way in about February time. Like I said, I do have quite bad asthma. I have Lufrabec that I take twice a day, and then I have loads of these blue inhalers that I take lots of kind of all throughout the day. So I'm certainly not the quickest runner. I've been getting quicker. Running's not exactly easy for me. But part of the reason why I did want to do it is to kind of increase my lung strength overall. And I have been seeing improvements. Spoiler there for the end of the challenge. And then one day I decided, I'd been watching a few videos that I'd seen of other people doing sort of these running challenges. And I thought that would be a good way to keep me motivated, because if I had a challenge and something that I could achieve, I thought that could be, something that'd be interested. I do want to do a disclaimer that a lot of people recommend not running every day, having recovery in between, can stop you getting injured. But I did do a lot of things to help me, try and protect my body as much as possible through this. I have a massage gun that I'd use after all my runs. I did a lot of ice baths, and a lot of the runs I did in between were the really slow recovery runs, slow for even my standards. So yeah, I did a lot of that stuff. But this isn't something that you should just do, without really thinking about it, because there's always that risk of injury. So just wanted to say that there before people started getting into the comments and saying I was, encouraging something dangerous for anybody. So on to the actual rules that I set myself for the challenge, because there are a few different kind of versions. Some people challenge themselves to do a mile a day. Some people do, it all has to be outside, blah, 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 blah. So what I did for myself was that it had to be at least 5 kilometers a day. Preferably it'd all be in one go, but if I had to split it up into like 2 shorter runs in a day, that wasn't a problem. I could do that. And it had to be at a pace that I would consider at least a jog. And most people would consider, even my fastest running speed probably a kind of a jog anyway. But for me, it had to be considered at least a jog. Didn't have to all be outside. And in fact, throughout the time, I did find myself going to the gym and using the treadmill quite a few times. Purely because where I live it's basically on one big massive hill. So I did find that while I was trying to up my training and my endurance, that it was quite hard to do, the proper, easy, slow runs that I needed to do, because of all that constant incline, my heart rate would increase quite quickly, even if I was at, approaching walking speed. So yeah, so a few of the runs were in a treadmill. I'm sorry if you think that that doesn't count, blah, 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 blah. But for me, I let it count. So first of all, I started this challenge. The first day was the 18th of May 2023. Now, before this challenge, I did sort of a baseline run. And the time for that, for a 5K run that I did, bearing in mind, this was outside. This was one of the first times I actually ran outside, because when I was kind of upping my training, originally it was kind of all inside on a treadmill. So this was total moving time for a 5K. It was 32 minutes and 10 seconds. I clarify the moving time because halfway through I did have to stop and sort of keel over underneath the glowing lights of the Aldi sign in my town to catch my breath. But later on, throughout the challenge that I didn't really actually have to stop at all halfway through runs. So that was really good. But let's get into how each run actually went. So, like I said, the first run was on May 18th. I do want to mention that I didn't really plan on making this sort of a YouTube thing. I didn't go into this challenge hoping to make it a video on YouTube, so I don't really have any footage of me doing these runs. And this was just kind of something I thought of doing in this last week that I've been recovering from the challenge. So I will just kind of having to be talking through, the data that I've got on Strava for a lot of these. Hope that's good enough for you. If not, then you can go find another video, I suppose. So May 18th, 2023 was the first day. So at 5:32 p.m. I did a 5.17 kilometer run. Average pace was 6.1 kilometers minutes per kilometer. The whole thing took 31 minutes and 8 seconds. And this was a loop that I ended up doing quite a lot. So it was two and a half roughly kilometer loops around my town that I do. There's quite a steep hill towards the end of both the loops, which some days were a bit of a killer, but I made do with the best I could. That was the lowest elevation gain sort of 5K loop that I could find in my town, because again, massive hill we're basically on. So that was quite simple, nice and easy to get us started. Then May 19th, I did 5.16 kilometers, so again, very close. Pace for that one was 5:55 minutes per kilometer, so overall time 30 minutes 33 seconds. That one felt good as well. Then May 20th, this was, at the time, this was my longest run that I'd ever done on Strava. Probably actually ever done in total, because I didn't really record. I didn't really do any long runs until I started doing this. Oh, that's another thing I want to mention, that a lot of the runs that I was doing, 4 of the 7 that I was doing every week, were part of my Garmin half marathon training plan. I've got Coach Amy, just in case that matters to you. And then the other days I was just kind of doing whatever I felt like doing, whatever I felt my body was, sort of up to that day. So that's why some of them are quite a bit longer, because it's just what I was basically told to do by my robot overlord here. So that was a 10.46 kilometer run that I did then. That it was a negative split run that Amy had me do, so getting progressively quicker. That overall time was 1 hour and 13 minutes at 7-minute kilometer pace average. Then the next day, which is, if I can actually count, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 4th day was the first sort of roadblock that I had. I kept pushing it off that day. I ended up going out and going to shops or something like that day. And then we got home and it was like 7, and then I decided that it'd be a great idea, instead of going for a run then, to go for a nap, because I was quite tired. And then I woke up and I really didn't want to run, and I did think about, oh, well, I could just stop now and then just restart the challenge. But I didn't, and I went out and I did 5.16 kilometers at 8:13 p.m. Average pace was 6:29 minute kilometer. and 33 minutes, 32 seconds overall. May 22nd, afternoon run. I did 6.45 kilometers at a 7:30 kilometer pace. Total time 48 minutes 21 seconds. Again, that one felt good. Let me see. I'd like to also mention at this point going forward, I only had one pair of shoes. It was the Nike Invincible 3s, and I got those because since I had the previous knee problem, I tried those shoes on, and I've never, and I have not to this day, had any like joint pain, muscle pain, or anything using those shoes. And I don't think I would have been able to do this challenge if it weren't for those shoes, because they're really soft. They take a lot of strain off of my muscles and my joints, and I think that did help me be able to increase my mileage so drastically. Perfect. So then the next day after that was 5 kilometers flat for the distance. Average pace 6:27 minutes per kilometer. Total time 32 minutes 16 seconds. So a nice easy run there. That one was on a treadmill. So that's why, again, so a lot of the easy runs that I did kind of were on the treadmill at that point, because like I said, it was quite hard to maintain a steady heartbeat, and also I'm just not very good still at the moment at regulating my pace. Sometimes if I'm not thinking about it, I can kind of drift off and start going quite quickly. I've gotten better at it, but it's certainly something that I am still trying to work on. So then May 24th, 5 kilometer run, 5:53 minute kilometer average pace, time 29 minutes 28 seconds. That was again on that 2-loop thing that I do around the town. Afternoon run I did on the 25th was 5k flat, pace 6:49 minutes per kilometer. So that was another easy slow one on the treadmill. Total time 34 minutes 6 seconds. After that, I also did a 20-minute strength training, because, you know, to make sure your knees and your ankles and things are nice and strong, I do like to put in some weight training. Not all of those are recorded on Strava, but I do them quite regularly. Next day after that was an outside 5k. I think I got a bit bored of that loop at that point, so I did a different route that was a single loop, so not a double. So 5k flat, pace was 6 minutes per kilometer, total time 30 minutes and 1 second. This next one on May 27th, which was a Saturday, was I was actually really nervous for this run because it was the first time I'd signed up to do a park run. So I registered and I went, and I wasn't trying to get a fast time at all for this. My plan was for this first one was to go and recce the course so that going forward I'd know what to expect, because I didn't want to run off too quickly and then find out, you know, like halfway through there's a massive big hill and I've kind of run out of gas at that point. So the park run that I did, and I've done a few times so far, is the Stirling University park run. It's really nice. It is 2 loops round a nice loch, kind of rolling hills, really nice, really gentle. And I went there and I really liked it. Like I said, I started way at the back with a sort of, you know, the Saturday morning grandma crowd. We had a nice little chat for the first bit, and then I felt good, so I started overtaking people, and it was really fun. And the cool thing that I did sort of notice is, because I had spent so much time running around in my town, which, you know, has a lot of elevation gain sort of everywhere, the course that the park run is kind of like very like slight rolling hills up and down, but it's nothing too steep. So I would find that a lot of the time I'd be overtaking people on the uphill, because just by happenstance, since a lot of my training has to be on a hill, I'm not too bad at hills. So that was a 5.1 kilometer run that I did there. Average pace was 6 minutes 15 kilometers. So then on May 27th, I decided that it would be a great idea after that park run to go back and go to the gym and do an hour-long weight training session. I don't know why I thought that would be a good idea, considering the next day I had another 10k on the plan. And I know that to a lot of people 10k doesn't sound like a lot, and to be honest, now it doesn't really feel like a lot. But first of all, I'd never ran 10k outside before, so this was the first one that I was going to try and do outside. And yeah, I just hadn't really run that distance a lot before. So I went back to the loch, that's the park run route, because I really liked it. So then I ended up doing 4 loops instead of the 2 to get my 10 kilometers. And that in that 10 kilometers, I actually set my second fastest at the time personal best for a 5K. So that was 10 kilometers. Average pace was 6 minutes, 35 minutes per kilometer. And that was an interesting one because before I went, my legs were feeling quite tired after the weight training session that I did. But once I started running, my legs started feeling really good and my heart felt really good. My lungs felt really good, because that's a big thing that kind of changes how well my runs go. I can be feeling quite good mentally, my legs can be feeling quite good, but sometimes my runs just don't really go as fast as I'd like, purely just because I'm having a worse asthma day. Sometimes I have to, re-top up with this inhaler. I take it with me all the time when I'm going on runs. And sometimes I have to take this, every 2.5 kilometers that I do. And some runs I don't really have to take it at all. It really just depends. So that's why some of my, runs, I set like goals before I go out on runs, but a lot of the time, if I start feeling bad, I'm just like, okay, well, now the goal's just to finish. Yeah, that was the 28th. The next day after that, the 29th, I went for a 6.17 kilometer route again in my time, but I was experimenting with some other routes. Average pace 6:36 per kilometer. I got my first local legend there. I ran through a park and I got a park sprint local legend. So a bit of a legend, but we already knew that from before. Now, May 30th, easy 7K evening run, 7:30 kilometers average pace. Total time 52 minutes, 28 seconds, nice and easy. Next day, May 31st. So I downloaded, this was the first time that I tried the Garmin navigation feature. I've got a 265S, which has breadcrumb navigation, but not the full mapping feature. And I kind of downloaded a route, and I was a bit gung-ho with it. I was like, oh, I don't need to watch a video or read the instructions. Probably should have, because I ended up getting lost, and it ended up being kind of an impromptu trail run. Because I took a wrong turn and ended up running down beside a river. It was all right. Again, still using the Nikes, and they have all right grip, and it was dry, so it was quite fun actually. And that was 6.54 kilometers. Average kilometer pace was 6.26. Total time 42 minutes 7 seconds. Next, this was the first interval-y session that I ever did, so it was hill repeats. I woke up early to do this before I went to work, because I wanted as few people to watch me struggle running up and down a hill as possible. So I did my least favorite thing, and I woke up early, and I went and did this. So it was 5.04 kilometers in total, including a warm up and a cool down. So I found again, there's lots of hills here, but I found a nice steep one. Ran up and down that a lot, and it was horrible at the time, but it felt good afterwards, I suppose. This was the first run that I ever did in my second pair of shoes that I bought. Halfway through this, I bought a pair of Hoka Mach 5s. So I did that for the first time, and they were really nice, and I really like them, and they're one of my favorite pairs of shoes I have ever had. So I did that. Total moving time was 31 minutes, 26 seconds. Not sure if I mentioned that already. And then June 2nd, I did my super easy recovery run, is what I called it. And it was 5.01 kilometers, 7 minutes, 39 average pace, and total time 38 minutes, 19 seconds. My legs were definitely feeling it after the hill repeats the previous day. So I did, again, that was probably more, I wouldn't really classify that as a run, so more as a jog. But you got to do what you got to do. You got to take your wins when you can take them. And then next day, June 3rd, a Saturday. Oh, amazing. Feeling good. Headed to the park run again. Absolutely smashed it out of the park. So 5.09 kilometers. average pace 5 minutes 23 seconds per kilometre. I got my PR. It's gone down now since, but at the time, I was feeling amazing. That time was 27 minutes and 29 seconds. I know it's still slow, but I felt really good. And the surprising thing was actually after it finished, I felt good, and I even ran back to the starting point afterwards. When, previously, if I'd run that fast, I think I just would have died at the end. So that was good, and I felt really, really good. And then after that, I went to a lovely local bakery near Stirling, and I got a lovely cake, because why not? And then the next day, we went from high to high, guys. We just kept improving, because on Sunday, June 4th, I did a 13.51 kilometre run. Mentally, the motivation for that one wasn't there, to be completely honest with you, but I knew I still had to do it. Amy wasn't letting up. She wanted me to do, that run. So I knew that if I just did like a loop around here, there was a possibility of me just giving up. So I asked to get dropped off by my wife, 13.51 kilometres away from my house, and then I only had one option to get back home, was to complete the run. Obviously, if I got hit by a car, I think an ambulance would end up taking me home. But we did it, and in that 13.51 kilometre run, I got which is still stands, my best ever 10k run time. So again, what a weekend that was. So 13.51 kilometres, average pace 5 minutes 41 seconds per kilometre. Total moving time was 1 hour 16 minutes and 43 seconds with 121 meters of elevation gain. And that 10k time that I mentioned that was in there, which was actually in the second half of, the second bit of it. It's not half, because the whole thing was only 13. But that was in the latter 10k part of it, was 55 minutes and 35 seconds. So yeah, proud of that run. Yeah, so around this time, occasionally I would get, quite, not demotivated, because I still did like running, but just sometimes, I can be bothered, or I'd put it off, so it ended up being quite late, and I was like, well, I don't really want to do it anymore. But I knew I wanted to complete the challenge. So what I did was I walked up to my local spa, and I paid for a non-refundable full body massage that would be on the 31st day, in the afternoon of the 31st day. And what I said to myself was that I would get to do it if I completed the challenge, but if I didn't, my wife would get to take this place instead. That did kind of end up having a negative effect, where my wife was kind of rooting for me to fail. Not really, but so that's what I had to do to kind of maintain the momentum, and it worked. I managed to do it, and then I ended up having a nice massage. So June 5th, 5 kilometres flat, pace 7 minutes 24 seconds per kilometre on average, 37 minutes and 3 seconds in total. Just a nice easy run after that one on the Sunday. And then I also did some weight training for 33 minutes. And then this next one, June 6th, there's a local running club in my town, and I knew that, running clubs are quite a good way to, get your interval sessions in, and when you're running with other people, it kind of pushes you to do a bit better. So I went along to do like a trial evening with them. And this was an interval session that we did at the club. So total 5.79 kilometres. Average pace was 4 minutes 40 seconds per kilometre. Obviously, there was a lot of like rest periods in between. So total moving time for that one was 27 minutes and 4 seconds. But again, it didn't count as like my 5k PB, because it was kind of stunted and broken up with quite a bit of stopping breaks in between the reps. So then next day, June 7th, which was actually also my wedding anniversary, which was really nice, but still not an excuse not to do the run. I did a 7.26 kilometre run, average pace 8 minutes 16 per kilometre. So nice and easy, super easy recovery after that interval session. 1 hour flat, that one was. This next one, June 8th, I called it the Whiskey Run 5K, because there's a whiskey distillery in my town that's about 2.5 kilometers away. So I ran up, then I ran back. And that was, now it's my second fastest time in the 5K, but at the time it was my fastest time. That one, it was quite a hot and humid day that day. I wasn't planning on going out and, trying to go for a PB. It just kind of happened again. Like I said, I'm not very good at pacing myself sometimes, so sometimes these things just happen. But I wanted to die when I got home. I came up, I kind of crawled up the stairs up to my flat, and then I laid down on the cold kitchen floor for like 15 minutes. But that time overall was 25 minutes and 13 seconds that I did for that one. June 9th, I did some cadence drills, so 6.4 kilometers. Average pace was 7 minutes 25 seconds per kilometer. Total time 47 minutes 31 seconds. And then also on June 9th, after the cadence drills I did some more weight training. This next day, June 10th, this was probably my least favorite run that I ever did during this challenge. I remember because it was so horrible that I wrote a massive paragraph on Strava, which I rarely do, and I titled it "Disgusting Humid Run" because we had a bit of a heat wave and it was also really humid and it was disgusting, but also for some reason my legs felt really, really weak, which was a big problem when I was trying to run up the hills that I had to run up. And I think this was one of the closest times I ever came to just like packing it in throughout the whole thing. But I managed to keep going, and the total run was 5.03 kilometers. Average pace was 5 minutes 39 seconds per kilometer. Total moving time 28 minutes 24 seconds. I was happy to see that one go. Then the next day, I did the longest run I'd ever done on Strava. Up until this point on June 11th. This was a 5K. I went over to Perth and I ran along the River Tay, which was really nice. So this was 15K. It was a negative split run. I did end up having to stop for a pee break, because that's the thing. That's a really irritating thing about everyone needs to stay hydrated, and it is. And I drink electrolyte and sodium water and things before I go out and runs. But it does mean I have to pee quite a lot. So I did have to pee. But then when I went to pee, there was lots of baby ducks, so that was quite cute. So total average pace for that 15.11 kilometer run was 5 minutes 51 seconds per kilometer. Total moving time 1 hour 28 minutes and 24 seconds. So that was, like I said, that was the longest run I'd ever done on Strava. That was one that I did in another pair of shoes I bought. See, this challenge was also kind of a challenge to my wallet because I did end up buying 2 pairs of shoes during it. The other one that I got, this was quite a good deal, which is what I tell myself to kind of justify it. I got a pair of Saucony Peregrine 12, so the previous version, because we're up to 13 now, but for £69. So that was quite good. So I went out and did that. It was kind of along like some gravel traily paths. So that was quite a good first run in that shoe. Next day, 5K flat, easy recovery. So again, it was really hot that day. So I decided to do that in a treadmill just so I could actually keep my heart rate down. So I don't really handle the heat well. Average pace 7 minutes 37 minutes per kilometer. Total time 38 minutes and 4 seconds. I also did some weight training there after that as well. June 13th was the second club session I did. So after that first one, I signed up for the club. And we went up to the very top of the hill in the town. And we did some hill repeats pyramid reps. So gradually going up in time that you're running up the hill and then going back down. Again, that was another one that I really hated at the time. It felt horrible. I was questioning why I showed up, why I continued to do it, why I didn't just go home while they were all distracted running up the hill. But afterwards, I was really proud that I did it. So that was total 5.13 kilometers. Time for that one was 31 minutes and 46 seconds. That did include a bit of a warm-up run there as well. June 14th, nice easy run to recover from those hill reps, 5.23 kilometers that was. Average pace was 7 minutes 39 seconds per kilometer. Total time 40 minutes and 3 seconds. And then I did some weight training after that. A lot of what I ended up doing was, if I was going to the gym to use the treadmill to do my easy runs, I'd kind of pop in some strength training there. So then June 15th, so we are rapidly approaching the end, was an easy run, 5.05 kilometers, average pace of 6 minutes 48 seconds per kilometer, total time 34 minutes 23 seconds. That was doing my classic 2-loop of Crieff, which at this point I am getting desperately bored of. But now that I've increased my distance, I can sort of go out and go along the roads more and not have to do that run, because it's getting to me. Every single time I run past the same things every day, I'm going slightly insane. So then June 16th, which was day 30. Originally, this was going to be the last day of the challenge, because I had originally decided to do a 30-day running challenge, but then I decided day 30 was on a Friday, day 31 would be on a Saturday, so if I increased it to day 31, I could have the last one be a park run and go for it and try and get my PB. So June 16th, I did 6.62 kilometers. I wanted to do this relatively slowly so that I didn't ruin my legs for that park run. And I did average pace of 6 minutes 41 seconds per kilometer. Total time 44 minutes and 19 seconds. I also that day went away to a loch because it was really hot, and I ended up doing a little bit of open water swimming at a local loch nearby. So that was quite nice. So last day, the culmination of all my training efforts thus far in that challenge. I went over to the park run, I got ready, I was doing my stretches, doing my drills, I was ready to go. And I went. So total distance 5.08 kilometers. Run hard. About halfway through, this was the only thing I could have got quicker. I did get a PB for this 5k PB, but the annoying thing was it could have been faster, because halfway through I dropped my inhaler, and then I had to kind of do like this awkward run back, pick it up, and then go forward again. So I did end up double backing on myself a bit. So I could have gone faster, but we live and we learn. Next time I'll really strap down that inhaler in my shorts. So yeah, average pace 4:56 per kilometer, and I did set my PB, and this was in the Peregrines as well. It helped because it's a bit hard. Like, the majority of the course is sort of gravel, but part of it's road, and I was weighing up which shoe I wanted to try this in, and then I worked it out, and I was like, well, the majority of the course is on gravel, so if I go for the traily shoes that are still okay on the road, then I might have an advantage. I'm not sure how much of it on the shoes and how much was just, my fitness had increased. But it worked. Elapsed time was 25 minutes and 3 seconds. So, from the very first 5k that I did beforehand, that's quite a hefty chunk of time that I took off in that running for 31 days challenge, which I was really, really happy with. It felt really good, and when they uploaded the results later onto the parkrun website, I found out I was second in my age group and 9th overall woman, and I was really, really pleased with that. And then I went home, I had my massage, and then I ended up. They told me I'll relax for the rest of the day after my massage, but I ended up having to go to Glasgow, which is stressful in and of itself. I had to go to the Apple store because they'd locked me out by phone, and I was very frustrated. So the rest of that afternoon was not very pleasant, but that 5k PB, it felt really good, and I knew I gave it everything, because at the end, I was one of those people that was collapsed at the finish line, and I was trying to, I was like a dying fish and trying to get some air back in, but I was really proud of that, and that's still my 5k PB at the moment. So that was the challenge in and of itself, from the start all the way through to the end. And as you can see, there was some quite clear performance gains that I got by the end of it. My VO2 max has actually increased, according to my watch, by a point, which is really good as well, because like I said, that's one of the main things I wanted to run for, was just to, because of my asthma, I wanted to improve, my lung capacity and everything there. So I was proud of that. So after that, so it's been a week since, so that was the challenge. So now I just want to talk about what I've done in that week past the challenge and what I want to do going forward, and surrounding this channel. So on the Sunday after, I did nothing, absolutely nothing at all, no physical activity. I just vegged out. It was quite nice in some ways, but I was kind of stressed that I wasn't doing anything. It felt weird after 31 days on the trot of going out and running, or doing strength work or something like that. So it did feel weird. And the idea was this week that I was going to take it easy, and I was going to do rest days and everything like that. That did go out the window a little bit. So I was planning this to be like a nice chill week to recover, and it ended up being my highest mileage week so far. I did take a rest day from running. I did swim that day, but I didn't run that day. So I did take one rest day, from Monday to Sunday, which is today. So on June 19th, which was the Monday after the Sunday that I did nothing, I did a 15k negative split and then a 1 kilometer cool down. Again, that's the longest run I've ever done up until this point still, which was nice, proud of that one. Then the next day, June 20th, I did a nice easy 5k, so average pace 5 minutes 58 kilometers, total time 29 minutes 52 seconds. The next day after that, which was a Wednesday, I didn't do any run, which again felt really weird. I woke up early, and I went for a swim, so 1,500 meter swim. I'm not very good at swimming at all, but I've heard it's quite good for your lung capacity, so I did want to get into swimming. Then on Thursday, I had a day off, so I went up and I hiked up Ben Chauncey, which is a 14.26 kilometer hike, with 738 meters of elevation gain, and that took me about 2 hours and 58 minutes up and down. And it was really nice. It was a really beautiful day. It wasn't too hot though, but you could see when you got to the top, it was completely clear, so you could see it out, and that was really nice. And then when I got home after that, I did a 6.44 kilometer run, average pace 6.26 seconds per kilometer, so nice and easy, because I did just hike up a hill, and I could feel that a little bit. And when I was running, it wasn't too bad actually though. It felt quite good. Total time 41 minutes 27 seconds. Then June 23rd, which was the Friday, I did cadence drills, 6.47 kilometers, average pace 6.08 per kilometer, total time 39 minutes 45 seconds. That was the one that I felt the DOMs from the hike and the run before. That my legs did feel a bit heavy, but we got through it. And we did it, so that was good. That's the main thing. A lot of the time, the main thing is just completing it. Then yesterday, I went up and I did hill repeats on my own. This week, I was actually working both nights that the running club was on, so sadly I couldn't go to my running club this week. So instead, I went up and I just did hill repeats on my own. Again, pyramid intervals I did there. It was a shorter session then, so that was 3.97 kilometers that I did for those hill repeats, but then I ran back home, which was 2.11 kilometers that I did there. Average pace 4 minutes 47 seconds per kilometer. And then today at 6:05 p.m, the run that I've just come back from, hence the sweaty look and the towel that I'm being forced to sit on because I've been banned from sitting on the sofa in my workout stuff, was 10.19 kilometers, 5:55 average pace. and total moving time was 1 hour, sort of exactly. This one was a hard run actually. I woke up this morning and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go for it. So it was supposed to be just a negative split run. That was my Garmin coach plan. But I woke up this morning and I was like, no, I'm gonna smash it. I'm gonna do the negative split, but I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for a 10k PB. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go for a 10k PB. And then before I actually started the run, so this was about like 12 hours later, I was like, I'm actually quite tired. I'm still gonna do it. I'm just gonna do the basic negative split run that I was told to do. And then I got dropped off 10 and a bit kilometers away. And then I started running and I wasn't feeling it. It was like my head felt fine, my legs felt fine, but I just went, as soon as I got over a certain pace, I didn't really feel really good. So then my goal just became to complete it. And honestly, halfway through, I did have to stop and have an inhaler break. And I did consider calling for a bit of a rescue pickup. But then, yeah, I didn't. I kept going and I got back. It wasn't my best effort, but I did complete it, which is the main thing. I don't really see moving the goalpost as being cheating. I just think it's just making it easy for you to score and for you to keep, moving forward. Because at this time, I'm not a professional athlete, never going to be one. I'm never going to run, a really fast marathon or anything. At the moment, where I'm at is just gradually increasing mileage and getting through that mental block, which is what I did today, and I'm happy with that. So yeah, that's been this past week. I'm not entirely sure what I've got planned for next week, but we'll take a look. But for the channel going forward, the main reason I wanted to start this was kind of for accountability to myself after that challenge was done, because I know in myself a lot of the time I'll kind of give up if there's no punishment, not punishment, but no repercussions or whatever. So I thought I'm gonna treat this channel as sort of a weekly training update for myself, so I can keep track of things, and yeah, just to try and motivate me to keep running, and pushing forward with that. And if any of you want to join me on this journey of improving fitness, just trying to run a little bit better, a little bit faster, feel free. I'd really love to have you. The videos, you could probably tell so far, it's not the best quality. I'm just recording it on my iPhone, editing it on my iPhone, and uploading it. There won't be any fancy effects. I'm not really good with eye contact with the camera. I'm autistic, so I'm just, it's a little bit awkward. So they're not going to be polished videos, more just kind of a, chatting with a friend, really. So that's what I'm going to do going forward. Weekly updates on what I did throughout that week, dashing in some, shoe reviews if I get new shoes, talking about what nutrition I'm doing, general things like that. We'll play it by ear as we go. And the last thing I want to talk about before we head off was some running goals that I have in the future. So short term, sort of mid term, and then longer term. So in the short term, I want to go for a new 10k PB. I'd really like to get that time down by a couple of minutes. So that's a short-term goal. Mid-term goal, I want to, really get better at doing my pacing outside. I'm already getting better, but I want that to kind of be a focus going forward for the next few months. And then the long-term goal is I have signed myself up for the Edinburgh Marathon 2024. So that is next May or June. Oh, hello, Patrick. Sorry, one of my cats has decided to join us for this last little bit. So that's the long-term goal. I don't have a time goal for that in mind at all at the moment. It's purely just to get through. I'd like to say a sub 4 hour would be, really amazing. But the main goal is just to finish. So those are the goals. And if you want to follow me along, that'd be really good. So you can you can subscribe, you can leave a comment. In my description, I'll leave my Strava information if you want to go on and follow me there. I'll try and follow back as many people as I can, and we can send kudos back and forth and just kind of send out, the support to each other. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was interesting. If you're considering doing something like this, and maybe not to the extent of every single day, it was really nice. I really enjoyed it, but do make sure that you treat your body right while you're doing it. Make sure you get plenty of those really nice, slow, easy runs in. Cold water, ice water baths. They're not the best at the time, but they really do help your muscles. So if that's something that you do want to do, then treat your body right, and it'll give you the performance that you want. But thank you again for joining me and for watching me ramble on for a while. Hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.